This movie is like a surreal, weird giallo set in the Pacific Northwest, starring a rogue werewolf who is leading a gang of violent goats. Right? Like, that's the premise. Granted, there is no starlet or model who is slowly losing her mind to madness like there are in most giallos. That role instead has gone to Ethan Embry, and he plays a depressed middle-aged cop who is fast approaching alcoholism, divorce, and grieving his wasted baseball potential. Right? Like, it's a weird premise for a movie. These movies like this are kind of hard to sell, but I'm going to give it a go. If you loved The Wolf of Snow Hollow, this movie is like a lower budget version of that movie, right? And I don't mean that as a slight, because although there is a much lower budget and there are some story wobbles, I found this movie really engaging. This is a really good movie to play, is it mental or is it monster, right? The whole time you're trying to work out, is the call coming from inside the house? I found that it's a really good psychological horror film for that has some folk elements. It also has a surprisingly good creature design in it, given the budget constraints. It clocks in at like, I think 82 minutes, which as someone who watches a shit ton of horror, it's always nice to chuck on a film and be like, oh, fuck it, this will be done in an hour and a bit. So it's got a lot going for it in that sense, but this is a really weird indie film, and I think I'm going to like this one a lot more than most people, but I've found it really engaging. Alma and the Wolf is set in a place called Spiral Creek, which is on the Oregon coast, and fuck up of a cop and struggling father Ren, which is a twofer that happens more than you think, stumbles across his old high school crush Alma walking down the road covered in blood. Alma claims that she and her dog were attacked on a walk by a gigantic wolf and a gang of violent goats. I know, I already hear you asking, like, what the fuck, how are they talking, what's the go? Yes to all those questions, right? Because Alma has a bit of a history with alcohol abuse and shenanigans in general, Ren's a bit skeptical, but he does vow vengeance upon the wolf if it was indeed involved. The problem is, as soon as he swears that oath, he starts getting bombarded with these psychedelic visions of talking wolfmen, weird throned entities, and these creepy dark woods. And you're left to try and decipher what the fuck is going on. Like, is there actually a gang of goats led by a wolf? Is Alma up to something sinister? Is Ren losing his mind? Is this all a dream sequence? Is this all a drug trip? Are they all dead? Like, what the fuck is going on? It's Twin Peaksy in that style. And that is what the tension in Alma and the Wolf is all about. What the fuck is going on? And is it real? First up, the good. Ethan Embry is fucking fantastic in this movie. If you don't know Ethan Embry, go watch The Devil's Candy right now. It's by Sean Byrne, the director Sean Byrne, who recently did Dangerous Animals and also did The Loved Ones. Ethan in it plays like this jacked dad of a painter with like a metalhead family. It's very Lovecraftian and wonderful. But Ethan Embry is just a fantastic actor, and he definitely gets to shine in this movie. He is the main draw of this movie. Ren, the character he's playing, is not a novel character, right? It's a deadbeat alcoholic cop. We've seen that 100 times. But the way Embry plays him makes him really sympathetic, right? He's a fuck up, and he doesn't do everything right, and he's a bit of a, he's got all these character flaws, but you can see that he's trying to get his shit together. You can see that in this film. There is a point that happens on a baseball field that like kind of broke my heart a bit. Spiral Creek, the town that this is set in, is completely fleshed out, which is so weird. They had 80 minutes to do that in this movie, and it's fleshed out better than lots of 3-hour movies. Every town folk, all the town folk, seem to have relationships with each other that are completely separate of Ren, the main character, right? Like, some characters are stoked to see each other, some fucking flat out hate each other, some are ambivalent, they all have little in-jokes with each other. You feel like this is a town that is lived in. You know when you play an open world game and everything seems like NPCs? I don't think there's an NPC in this movie. Yes, there are a bunch of side characters, but you actually feel like they're real people, and that's really impressive considering that this is an 80-minute film, and they've done that for like super ancillary characters, like a police receptionist, or the deputy, or the fucking baseball talent scout. Like, they all feel like they've lived in this town for a bit, and they have history here. And I find that really remarkable in an 80-minute film. The visuals by director Michael Patrick Jann and Joe Kessler have this surreal, hazy feel to them. Parts of this film feel like they could have been ripped directly from a black metal music video, and others feel like they could have been taken from a 1970s folk horror, like something like Blood on Satan's Claw. They have this staticky, surreal feel to them, and because of that, you are constantly asking, like, are we in a dream sequence? Is this actually happening? And because all the character interactions are so odd, you can't really tell if is the town sinister? It just keeps you off balance and trying to work out what is happening the entire time. There is some surprisingly good gore in this movie. They used practical effects a lot, and I really enjoyed that. I especially love the creature design. The werewolf design in this movie is really good. It kind of looks like the Bigfoot film, but it's just really, it's good. I like it. I like the werewolf design, even though it looks low budget. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of fucking rad, dude. There is some decent comedy in this film too. Like 60% of it worked for me, and most of the ones that worked are because of weird little interactions with Ren and the townspeople. Some of the characters in this feel like they could have been in I Think You Should Leave. Like, they have these really weird character flaws and little quirks, and you're like, what the fuck? But that makes them feel like an actual character, and I did find that really surprising. It helped paint this picture of this strange, isolated little town that has its own personality, and that's great. They just haven't given you like 40 red shirts to just get slaughtered by a werewolf. They've actually gone, no, we're gonna make you'll know the names and the vibe of each specific character, and that's more than a lot of like just generic slashers do. So I really appreciated that in this one. Weakest part of this movie was definitely that some of the ancillary characters had some pretty cringy dialogue. There were some lines in this where I was like, ooh, that was a bad line. But I'm not going to criticize that too much, because this is a first-time writer, and to be fair, I've seen a lot of movies this year that has cringier dialogue from much more experienced writers, and like that are frankly bigger films. Presence, I'm looking at you motherfucker. While I like the story, I do find it did get a bit muddled at the end. The first 2/3 of this movie are really like batshit insane, and you're like, what is going on? This is so strange, and it feels so novel. And there's a lot of avenues they could have gone down, and I just feel like right at the end they chose the road frequently traveled. And so I was a little bit disappointed at that. But that being said, they managed to make a pretty fucking decent werewolf film with great creature design and costume design. And that's something that a lot of creators with a much higher budget and much more experience have struggled to do, right? Like, I really like the werewolf design in this. I really like the character design. So I've got to give props to Alman the Wolf. Despite its flaws, I actually had a really great time with this one. I'm really excited to see what this team does next, because I'm hoping they continue and they get better, because I think with a bit of budget they could start fucking crushing it. You should watch this if, like me, you're a sucker for werewolf movies or like small town cop mysteries. Think True Detective Season 1, but funnier. If you love Ethan Embry, probably goes without saying, he's the main draw in this movie. If you like surreal horror that makes you question reality, if you like playing Is It Mental or Is It Monster, this is one of the better films this year to play that in. I would skip this if gore or body horror turns you off. There's some pretty substantial gore and body horror and some pretty great transformation scenes in this movie. If rough indie edges annoy you, I know some people are like, no, I only like watching big budget horror. I get that. That's fine. This is not for you. If you like neat, tidy endings, this doesn't have one, right? This is very like, oh, what do you think happened a little bit? Although it does things do get wrapped up. I will say that things do get wrapped up. But because of the way this movie works and it has you questioning reality all the time. You never sort of truly know. I didn't mind that in this one, and I think you'll know within probably 20 minutes whether you'll like where this film is going. So, you know, I fucking enjoyed it though. For my first recommendation, I'm going to go with a movie that also captures the strange, hazy feeling of Alma and the Wolf, and also gives you a really good opportunity to play Mental or Monster, and that is Prano Bailey Bond's 2021 psychological horror Censor. It follows a buttoned-down young woman named Enid who works for as a film censor for the British Board of Film Classification during the peak of the video nasties controversy. If you don't know what a video nasty is, there was a bunch of splatter gore horror films that came out in the 80s in the UK, and they caused a bit of an uproar because of their over-the-top horror, body horror, gore, torture porn aspect, and it caused a lot of prominent people and politicians to basically wage war on these movies and the directors that made these movies. They basically have a list where they said, if anyone makes a movie that gets on this list, you can be legally prosecuted in the UK, which is fucking crazy. It is crazy. But this movie takes place during that. So Enid works for the company that decides whether movies go on that list or not. So she has to watch a bunch of horrendous shit because she's quite a straight, logical woman. So she's quite good at her job. As Enid is doing this, a videotape comes across her desk that spookily seems to reenact event for event her sister's disappearance and the aspects around it. This causes Enid to dive deeper into the film's origins and who made it, which we get to see like a spiral into madness as Enid, who is quite buttoned down, tries to work out what the fuck is going on. Did these people know about her sister's disappearance? Do they have answers? Is it just coincidence? You get to see a lot of filthy productions. There's a lot of PTSD and survivor's guilt, and it explores all those things. And it's just a really good film. I'm pretty sure it's a Shudder original. It's fucking brilliant. I really, really liked Censor. It's so fun. It's a grimy film. It feels like a grimy film. There's lots of grossness in Censor, and I mean that in a good way. My second recommendation is another psychological horror directed by Travis Stevens and stars sweet noise boy Josh Rubin and Sarah Lind. It's about a woman named Meredith who has a new relationship with a guy named Bruce, who's played by Josh Rubin. She is just started dating this guy, but he invites her to his isolated house in the forest, always a red flag, to spend a weekend. When they get there, however, the two new lovers start to see these weird figures and beings appearing in the woods around their house. And they're trying to work out what the fuck is going on, and they're each suspicious of each other, and it's just a really tense 90-minute game of conversational cat and mouse as they both try to catch each other in lies and work out each other's motives. There's lots of hallucinations, there's lots of ultraviolence, and it has the same frenetic, illusory feel as Alma and the Wolf, right? Like, it's a really weird film, so my pick is definitely A Wounded Fawn. I think it would fit wonderfully in a double bill with Alma and the Wolf. But that's it. Let me know if you've seen this one. When I started researching this film after I wrote my script, I was surprised to see how low this movie rated. I really like this one, even though it is rough around the edges. It's a very budget indie horror. So I would be interested to see if any of you guys have seen it. If you have, let me know, because I do think this will be one of the least popular or least covered movies on my channel. But I liked it way more than I think most people did. So I'm interested to get other people's takes, and I can't really find anyone because no one seems to be covering this movie. Given its rough outer shell, I can see some people might have bounced off instantly, but I thought it was fucking engaging. So hopefully I'll see you next week for another review. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the fuck out of you all. Peace.